that had a pretty intense narrative arc to it. Jeez. Hi, my name is Matt. I'm an alcoholic. I figured I would say that. I'd like to begin by saying that I've never felt so intuitively good about anything in my entire life as I did about the decision I made to go to Caron and to ask for help. You got kind of a bit of the story already, so I'll jump in. I was 26 years old. I was working as a copywriter, and I was completely addicted to Coke and drinking very, very alcoholically. I was drinking like a fish. And I found myself in the position of either getting fired or getting honest, and for some reason, I decided to get honest. So I sent an email to a woman named Judy in the HR department of my company, a woman that I consider to this day to be a saint. And she told me, Caron, it's a very well-reputed place. I didn't know what it was, and I resisted at first, as I would. And then she said again, Caron. There used to be a big thing up here that said Caron, but that's what we're all here for. So I just said, do it. And as soon as I did, everything changed. It was sort of this moment where I really felt like I could breathe. And Caron sent a guy in a van, because I wasn't about to get to Warnersville on my own. And Caron sent a guy in a van to come get me, and I got in and passed out immediately because I hadn't slept in what seemed like years, but it was probably more conservatively 4 or 5 months I hadn't slept. And then I woke up on the road to Warnersville, which I suppose I'd been on the road to Warnersville my whole life. But I woke up on the road to Warnersville, and my favorite song from my childhood was playing on the radio, and I took that to be as good of an omen as there possibly could be. Jeez. That was heavy, man. That was, wow. I love my mom. Anyway, so anyway, when I got there, I sort of anticipated, like a huge slew of intake protocols and things like that, and they just let me sleep for like a day and a half, and it was like, that was grace. It was unbelievable. It was such a relief. And I was like begging them to just take this whole thing out of my hands at that point. I was so sick. I was so tired, and I was so unhealthy and incredibly ready to surrender, which I understand is a good attitude to have when you go to rehab. And then from that point on, the place, it was like, it was like summer camp, man. It was like Bunk 109. They had a visitor's day where my parents came. And, and the fruits of the process really yielded themselves immediately, because I sort of got intuitively, instinctively, I got that what Caron was teaching me was what I'd been looking for my whole life. Thank you. I had always wanted to be a good and honest and decent person. And I'd always wanted to be able to help other people and to contribute to the lives of other people meaningfully and in a positive way. And I think more than anything, what I had always wanted and what I had always lacked was a sense of purpose. And, prior to going to Caron, I was a slave to my disease. I can sort of paint a picture of that. The spring prior to leaving for Caron, as I was sort of described, I was living in a way where I was unencumbered by any permanent residence. I was homeless. I had lost my apartment, and I'd been kicked out of both my parents' places, and I was living, like as a derelict. one Easter weekend, I came to out of a blackout on the Lower East Side. And, Easter weekend was historically a very difficult period of time for my mother, because that's when, a bunch of years back, that's when her mother had passed away. And that was information that my more predatory and manipulative instincts, had registered. And I really wanted to go home. So, I walked. I did this like death march from the Lower East Side down on, like Delancey Street or something. I honestly, I don't remember where I was, what I was doing when I came out of the blackout, but I walked all the way from Delancey all the way up to 86th Street in York, where my mom had her apartment. And she had this little second floor balcony that was right out on the street, right out onto the street. And so there was like a scaffolding on the other side of the street, on the adjacent building. And I kind of got myself underneath this scaffolding, and I could just look up and see her. I would not have required a telephone to contact her. I could have just shouted, and she was right there. Smoking some cigarettes. She had an e-cigarette, drinking coffee. It was the morning, she had a book. She was reading a book. And, the truth is, I knew that as I was standing there that I just wanted to go upstairs and, change my clothes, take a shower, and get some money and some food, and then I was going to split. I was going to just be back on the street. And I knew that, and she knew that, because the last time I'd been there and shown up in that condition, she said no. She said, "You can't come in." And so standing there, under that scaffolding, I just didn't have it in me to put us both through that another time. I knew I was a dangerous drug addict, and that I had no business being in anybody's home, and that, that I'd really push things as far as they could go. And I knew how much it hurt her to have to turn me away. So I just kind of like wandered off and found somewhere else to pass out. But under that scaffolding, looking up at her, before I split, before I wandered away, I thought to myself, as I believe only I would, and this is very truthful, I thought to myself, "Hey kid, you might get a really good song out of this one day." And so I'm going to play it for you guys tonight. Thank you. Excuse me. Just kidding. She said her mama died on the cross, wearing pearls and an albatross, with Jesus and a banjo in her brain. On Easter Sunday they laid her down, so when I'm broke, that's when I come around to avail myself of all my mother's pain. Mama let me in to take a shower. Mama let me in to clean my clothes. Mama let me in to wash away the sins like under a scaffold far below, high as hell, nowhere to go. I'll watch the sitting with a book between our hands, and choking on some fresh regrets and electronic menthol cigarettes, praying that one day I'd understand. Mama let me in to take a shower. Mama let me in to clean my clothes. Mama let me in to wash away the sand. Like Good Friday, Mama, I'll come and go. And I guess that's why you always tell me no. 'Cause you can't help and I can't help myself at all. Your boy is just another junkie on the street. If this is hell and every angel has to fall, well, I'll be crawling on for one more score, with nails right through my feet. Mama let me in to take a shower. Mama let me in to clean my clothes. Mama let me in to wash away the sand. Like Good Friday, Mama, I'll come and go. And I know that's why you had to tell me no. Thank you.